What's up, everyone? It's your boy Scott. Welcome to the Scott Reports. Today, I'm bringing you a little bit something different to the channel, something that I want to do every now and then because, as a content creator, you always got to evolve. And today, I want to talk about some comic book stuff. Yeah, some stuff been in the plans, but nothing's written in stone yet. But it's just something that's been on my mind for a little while, and I figured, what time than now would be a better time to talk to you guys about some of the things that's been on my mind. The biggest thing is Marvel is villain problem, and just like the title said, has Marvel's cinematic universe has their villain problem become a casting problem. And what I mean by that is, in news that we saw this week, and it's actually been debunked as of right now, Donald Glover seems to have been approached or was in talks to be the villain in Black Panther 2. Now, again, this news was debunked, and as soon as I heard that, some light bulbs started clicking off in my head, and it's the type of thing that I wonder when this news got out, or if it was true, or if it's still coming. Do they really think that people would forget that he was already in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or are they really to the point now where they know that it's more people that's watching these movies, especially with the success of Black Panther and Infinity War? Do they know that there's more people watching this movie that don't know about comics than do? Because just the thought of Donald Glover actually being involved as a villain, let alone as anybody else in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, would have caused some problems. Because first and foremost, for those of you that didn't know, he was in Spider-Man Homecoming, and he was Aaron Davis. And that character is the ultimate Marvel Universe version of the Prowler. And in the Ultimate Marvel Universe, the Prowler's nephew is Miles Morales, which is the African-American and Latino Spider-Man. And they went out of their way to throw that Easter egg in there with him even talking about he has a nephew that he wants to keep away from the life that he lives, because the Prowler wasn't an upstanding citizen. He was actually, kind of a thug. He was a adversary for Spider-Man for quite some time before he became a villain. So with news of him actually, being a part of Black Panther 2 as the villain, you kind of wonder who was he going to play, or were they going to go the route where the Prowler was going to be the villain? Because if they gave him enough of a buff, he could have been somebody that could have fought with Black Panther. Of course, you might in a way have been going down the same route that you went with what Marvel has been doing for so long, which making an exact clone of the main character and having them as the adversary. Because look at it, you got Black Panther, you got Prowler, you got both people with technology as their weapon. Both guys are cats. But the thing is, Black Panther's gear is way more advanced than the Prowler's. So that's the thing that got me the most, is I wonder if this was true, and if this news got out, did Marvel just think that people like me, who know more about this comic world than most people can ever dream, will forget about things such as Donald Glover was already a character that was established in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a character we thought they were going to build upon. But that goes to show that Marvel's been on a roll. We know they've been on a roll. Me personally, I think they've been on a roll since Winter Soldier, maybe even Ragnarok, as far as their villains. I mean, they had their shortcomings. Definitely they've been on a roll with Ragnarok, Black Panther, and especially Infinity War with their villains. But the thing is, what I mean by are they having a casting problem is that they're getting a lot of big name people into these roles. And the thing about it is they're wasting a lot of potential with these people. Like, for example, let's take a look at Doctor Strange. Now, my dream casting would have been Mads Mikkelsen as Doctor Doom. With Marvel getting the rights to Fox, we know the Fantastic Four is coming, and with the Fantastic Four will lead to Doctor Doom. And I think he would be the perfect person for Doctor Doom. But now we probably won't get that, because he's already been this throwaway villain in Caecilius in Doctor Strange. I mean, he basically was just there to be a herald, or to be a lackey, a throwaway villain for Dormammu, because that whole villain was just a setup for something bigger. And we've even seen that with Baron Mordo. Even though he was involved in the movie, it felt just like Doctor Strange was a big setup movie. Doctor Strange, even though I liked it, it was a good movie. It felt like Iron Man 2, where so many things were set up for the future, where they have already had their eyes set on Doctor Strange 2, that a lot of things got thrown to the wayside. And something else that I want to also mention, and this was a villain as well, is Scott Adkins. Scott Adkins plays some unknown goon in Doctor Strange, and this man is arguably one of the best martial artists in the world. That would have been my dream casting for Iron Fist, because he's a stuntman, so you wouldn't have had to actually get stuntman to be somebody else. He could have did it himself. You know, the person they picked from Danny Rand, I mean, it wasn't like he was that great. So you could have easily threw Scott Adkins in there as Iron Fist. You would have had the perfect weapon, playing the perfect weapon, and that would have been perfect. Wow, that was a lot of perfects in one sentence. But what actually came from that was basically him just being a throwaway villain, and I did not like that at all. I felt that you could have used him for better things. And with Chiwetel Ejiofor, and I'm probably butchered that name, he was the guy that played Baron Mordo. And when I got word that Black Panther was actually going to be a film, he was my front runner. Now, I have to commend Chadwick Boseman. He has become T'Challa. He is Black Panther. And much like many of the other people I see in the Marvel Universe, I can't see anybody else playing them, just like I can't see anybody else besides Downey Jr. playing Stark. I don't want to see anybody else play Captain America but Chris Evans. And we got the same with Boseman. But the guy that they had playing Baron Mordo, that was my front runner to be T'Challa. I mean, he had the look, he had the regal appearance, especially at the time, at my interpretation of T'Challa, how he was shown in the cartoons, how I envisioned him in the comics. I think he would have pulled it off really well. Instead, he got kind of thrown aside for Baron Mordo for a bigger movie that's going to come later. And it really didn't pay off until the end. I mean, it was just, if you knew comics, you blatantly knew that he was going to betray Doctor Strange or he was going to go evil, but people just sitting into the theaters didn't know that. And a lot of people are still wondering what his purpose was overall. He was just kind of there. He had that anguish within him, and it just didn't go anywhere from that. Another thing that they wasted, we had Robert Redford, like one of the most renowned actors ever in Winter Soldier, playing Alexander Pierce. And when I started seeing previews for Winter Soldier, when I started seeing things about Captain America, knowing comics the way that I do, that story was loosely based off of two things. It was based off of the actual story in Captain America called The Winter Soldier, which was the return of Bucky, but it was also along the lines of things that happened after the death of Captain America and when Red Skull was actually in the Oval Office and he was masquerading as president. I was surprised because when I saw that Robert Redford was going to play a character in this movie, I just automatically thought, you know what, that would be awesome if he was a Red Skull. And not to say we didn't get our payoff for Red Skull because he did show up in the Infinity War, but I think that would have been a lot better. And you wasted a great character in Robert Redford for basically just having him there. And this is what we're seeing with a lot of Marvel movies. This is one of the biggest things out there right now for, you know, movies and comic book movies becoming their own genre. You know, everybody wants a piece of the pie and everybody wants to be in on Marvel. And I think people that are involved in DC and their movies probably want to be in Marvel too. So now you're going to get these big names that comes in and they want to be part of these movies. And I think they have a foundation set up so well, at least until we get to the next phase, that you're not going to have room for all these people that want to get in. Like, look at Ant-Man and Wasp. Like, we're going to have Michelle Pfeiffer and Lawrence Fishburne in this movie, two very big actors, and they're basically going to be side roles. I mean, they're going to be, even though, you know, Janet Van Dyne shouldn't be a side character, she will be. And then we have, you know, Lawrence playing Bill Foster, who was Goliath, which was also another version of Giant Man. And it's like they're getting all of this star power into the Marvel Universe, and they just don't have room for it. And then they finally fixed their villain issue. I mean, before we got Killmonger, before we got Hela in Ragnarok, you know, the only thing we had was Loki, and then he kind of straddled a line between being a hero and a villain. So you had a little bit of controversy there. And then, you know, we have Thanos in Infinity War, who, if you're like me and you root for the villains who actually you can relate to, he came off as a very good villain. It's something that I have said over and over again, and I'll go on record saying I said it first because I haven't seen anybody else say it. If they decide to go the death route with Thanos in this next movie, it can so be hella. I mean, come on. They had to actually summon Ragnarok in order to stop this woman. Kate Blanchett played an excellent character in this movie. She was strong, she was fierce, she was badass, and she honestly didn't get enough screen time, but she was a very physically imposing villain. I mean, she cracked Thor's hammer, she caused all types of havoc, and they basically had to let the apocalypse happen and let Surtur come and fight her. In order to get rid of her, you're just going to sweep her under the rug like that? I have to feel that they have bigger things coming in. People are familiar with the Infinity War story or the Infinity Gauntlet, per se, which it was based off of. And I know a lot of people went and read that story after the movie. You'll see that it's drastically different from the comic book. And he did all this for the affection of death. And that can still pretty much happen, but in a different way. If you bring Hela in as death, then you can expand on that. Let's see. Yep, most of the characters didn't get more screen time, and they're not going to get a lot of screen time in Avengers 4 either. Even though the first one was more of a Thanos movie, I think the second one is going to be more of a heroes movie as they try to get everything back together. But this is something that Marvel's been wrestling with for a while, is just trying to actually fix their villain problem. But now that they have fixed their villain problem, we got another problem now, is that they are getting these great actors and they're being put in roles that's not going to help anything. Like, basically, I loved Ant-Man. I mean, I had no intentions of going to see Ant-Man. I went to go see it, and I actually enjoyed it from beginning to end. But let's be honest, Ant-Man was basically Iron Man, except this time you had an ex-con instead of a rich boy. You had the same thing. You had the similar suits with him in Yellow Jacket. You had the whole power between the corporations going. And that was just something that Marvel couldn't get over for a while, because even if you look at Winter Soldier, which is, I still wrestle, that might still be my favorite Marvel movie of all, Bucky was still pretty much the evil Cap, and there's no way to get around that. And Marvel has so much complex characters, and I know a lot of people don't care about the Fantastic Four. I care about the Fantastic Four. They're Marvel's first family. I especially love Jonathan Hickman's run on this series. But the main reason I'm excited that we're getting Fantastic Four is that the amount of villains that you can get in Marvel just by that license, just by them getting the license to Fantastic Four alone, opens up Doctor Doom, who's a villain who can very well cause as much havoc as Thanos did. He's human, but he's a human as can be the Sorcerer Supreme, just like Doctor Strange. He can make robots that are so intelligent and so lifelike that you will think that you're fighting him and it's actually a robot. Oh, man. If you want to go to Guardians of the Galaxy, they wasted Ronan the Accuser because he had the potential to be a much better villain, and I think they're going to rectify that in Captain Marvel. Nick Victory Fire saying with Captain Marvel in part 2, probably some new characters who are coming in. Yeah, I mean, again, when we do know that Ronan is going to be in Captain Marvel because they're going to actually do the Kree-Skrull War, and that's another thing. We got the Skrulls, which I thought was tied into the Fantastic Four license, but apparently it wasn't. So we can possibly see the Skrulls running in the background of Phase 4, which could lead to Secret Invasion, which would be freaking awesome, because I don't think the Skrulls are a big enough villain to carry an entire movie on. But if they're staging an uprising and we get to Fantastic Four and we can get Super Skrull, that would be awesome. And, you know, with Fantastic Four coming back in the comics, that's just more reason why we're going to get this movie. And I think we're going to get them in Phase 4, which is why they're being so secretive about what we're going to get in this next thing. And people are already starting to throw their hats in for the casting, because John Krasinski, he actually expressed interest in being Mr. Fantastic. And I think that would be fantastic. Pun intended, because yes, the only first thing I see when I see this guy is Jim from The Office, even though he's done some badass movies. He was in that Army movie, which I can't think of right now. And he's actually like Jack Reacher or Jack Ryan. What's the name of that thing that Tom Cruise is in? I don't remember. But he's actually in that series from Netflix where he plays a spy. But if you can throw him in as Mr. Fantastic, I think that would be absolutely awesome. We still had a time travel villain too, just like I was saying in the chat here. Yes, we have Kang the Conqueror. He can easily be an Avengers villain, with them heavily probably going into time travel in Avengers 4. You can start opening the door for him to come in with the Fantastic Four license. You get a Nihilus who kicked off the whole cosmic event and the cosmic characters going into the forefront and being where they are now. You can easily do that with them because Nova has to be coming with the Nova Corps getting destroyed. So that means all of that power went to somewhere. And even though I would love to see Richard Rider, props to my boy JoJo for actually pointing out that we might get Sam Alexander because Sam Alexander's dad was in the Nova Corps, and that can be more reason for him to want to be a Nova because, you know, if he wants to find his father and what happened to him, even though I want to see Richard Rider, I hope he's still in the movie. So you have that as well. And it's a lot of things tied in. Now, I think Paramount has the rights to Namor. But Namor is one of those characters that you can bring him in as a villain. You can turn him to a hero. He's playing on both sides of the line. So that's something else that comes in with the Fantastic Four. Just having the Fantastic Four alone can bring in so many villains that you didn't think about that can be a threat to the Avengers or even for them in their own movie. Like I was talking about this with one of my friends where the Fantastic Four, if you want to do that, don't put Doom in the first movie. Put Doom later. Build up to Doom. Maybe do him in the second movie. Keep it just like the comic. Have him fight Mole Man first. Have Doom there. Have him become Doom and then go to him later. I don't see Namor as like a central villain. He could be one of those people that can be an antagonist for the Fantastic Four. But that shows how badass he is because he probably could beat all of them by himself, just like Dr. Doom could beat all the Avengers by himself. That's not here or there, but again, I just wanted to throw up the camera and talk about this really quickly. It was just something that was on my mind. And I know I usually would have made a video about this, but, you know, I don't really have time to do that tonight because, you know, I'm working on call. So I wouldn't have had time to edit and throw up a thumbnail and all that stuff. But I didn't want to miss out talking to you guys, especially if I don't get to get anything out over the weekend. Like I still need to get Megalobox out. So, yeah. Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Once again, topic. Marvel's villain problem becoming a casting problem because now these movies have gotten so big that everybody wants to be a part of Marvel, but you're running out of, you know, villains that you can use. Well, not necessarily running out of villains that you can use. That's a bad way to put it. The way that they structure their movies, you're getting these big names and they're not making the impact that they should. Like, look at the Spider-Man villains alone, and we're finally starting to see more villains in this third reboot of Spider-Man. Like, we got Vulture, a character I gave two shits about, but we got Michael Keaton to actually play Vulture, and now I care about him. And he's played Batman, he's played Birdman, which I wish was Harvey Birdman, but it was still good nonetheless. And he's become Vulture in Homecoming, so he actually was a hero. Saw himself become a villain, just like in Batman. That is freaking awesome. And word is now that we're going to actually get Mysterio in the next Spider-Man movie, which is going to be cool because that's going to be a villain that we haven't seen before. The special effects for him are going to be awesome because, you know, he uses tricks and magicians. And of course, again, one thing, how can I forget? Even with the Fantastic Four license, we get Galactus. That can be your next threat. Is this thing coming to Earth to destroy us all? And of course, we got Silver Surfer, which I'm pretty sure they're going to want to give him his own movie. And Thanos is a Silver Surfer villain. So you can easily put him back in there if you want to. The possibilities are endless, and they've been building up to the Sinister Six in Spider-Man. We've seen that forming in Homecoming. Spider-Man has the biggest rogue gallery. I love Tom Holland and Spider-Man. I hope he continues to grow in the role. Like, I actually want to see Spider-Man grow up, damn it, because his best stories is when he was in college and when he was an adult. We might actually get Kraven's Last Hunt. Imagine seeing that. Of course, first we got to get Kraven introduced first, but it's a lot more they can do. We didn't need to see Venom as quick as they did. Dr. Octopus was essential. We need to see Dr. Octopus and we need to see Green Goblin, but I'm glad they didn't retrace their steps and try to do those villains over again, because just like how we didn't need to see Uncle Ben die again, we don't need to see the Green Goblin again. We don't need to see Dr. Octopus again. Spider-Man has enough villains where you can keep going and going and going, and much like how Flash has his rogues, Spider-Man has a whole league of villains who get together just to stop him. So that's going to be awesome when we finally do get the Sinister Six. So I hope Marvel can keep working this thing out with Sony. I mean, hell, they bought out Fox. So I'm pretty sure they can throw enough cash to get Spider-Man back into the MCU permanently. And after Ragnarok, I know people are really wanting a Hulk movie, but I don't think we'll see the Incredible Hulk. Mainly because, you kind of run short on the villains that he can use. You would think as big as a monster as he is, he would have more that we can fight besides the Abomination and the Leader. But we could get She-Hulk, even though she really doesn't have that many villains as well. I just want to see She-Hulk. Okay, guys, I'm starting to ramble now, and my phone is going crazy, so I'm going to go ahead and get it by here. So, guys, again, let me know what you thought of this video in the comments below. Definitely chime in. Let me know what you think about the Marvel's casting and villain problems. If you liked the video, go ahead and drop it a like. And if you want to hear more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. There's not shortage of content for you guys to indulge on his channel. Also, be sure to hit that bell so you'll know whenever I drop a video or do a stream out of nowhere because I don't feel like editing. It's always a pleasure to have you guys here. So, as I always say, you guys be anywhere on YouTube right now, but you chose to listen to me. I really appreciate that. So, thanks for stopping by. On that note, it's your boy Scott signing out. See you soon.